Welcome. So good evening, everyone, for the first session of the environmental working group. So we're quite glad about the attendance today. I think this event has quite some traction these days. I mean, we have done this event in the past. I had the opportunity myself to organize this event with most of the speakers that will present today in other cities around East China. So this is the sixth time we do it. Last week we were in Changzhou, and 1 month ago we were in Suzhou, and before that in Taizong. This is so the topic today is about sustainability and sustainability applied to the industry. Why did we choose the industry first? It's because industry is really let's say the primary target of most of the authorities and also other stakeholders, because they are seen as the most impactful player on these topics. We will have the opportunity also to do maybe in the future during this environmental working group to speak about sustainability applied to other environment or other sectors. So I didn't present myself. I'm the Asia General Manager of Terao, and I've been involved in building sustainability. So sustainability applied to the built environment for the last 4 or 5 years. Today we try to bring together speakers that will give you some kind of holistic view about what can be done in terms of sustainability in the industry. So it's quite challenging for our speakers because I told them to just spend 10 to 12 minutes each. So let's see if they respect the timeline. So first we will have some of my colleagues, Maxime and Gaspard, that will speak about everything related to energy efficiency and low carbon applied to the building and the industrial buildings. Then we will have, I think, very interesting an application within an industrial company, Aremont. So Nicolas Perret will speak about a concrete case about what they have done over the last few years about especially low carbon. Then we will have another aspect of sustainability, which is noise control. So sustainability is not only about low carbon or energy efficiency, it's also about comfort. And so we will have Delhomme Acoustic with Antoine Pommier that will speak about noise control, especially for factories. Maintenance should not should be taken into account, because everything we do, for example, ourselves in design and construction of facilities, they have to be maintained during operation. So today we will have Bruno Lopito from Civico China on this topic. And finally, we will have French House that it will focus on office space within factories, because this is a topic that has to be taken into account in factories nowadays, because you need to provide a decent working space also in office spaces, and there have been a lot of challenges with the COVID situation on these aspects. So Romain Poirier will present. So the idea is that we make a presentation, we leave space for 1 or 2 questions about after each presentation, and at the end we will have a short panel. So let's start first with Terao and with the energy efficiency and low carbon approach, please. Thank you. Next slide.
Hello, hi everyone. So as Manuel just said, today we'll discuss about energy efficiency and low carbon applied to industrial facilities in China. So first, a quick introduction about Terao. We are a French company. We've been in China for 12 years, and we are pioneer in the sector of green building. We were founded 30 years ago in France. We have a global footprint with offices in Europe, where we are headquartered, and in South America and Asia. And we work on both new construction and the optimization of existing facilities. So a quick overview of our expertise. So all our projects starts with a feasibility study or due diligence. It's basically the opportunity to identify the sustainability target for a project and the necessary technical and financial effort to reach that target. Once we've identified with the client the relevant sustainability strategies for a project, we then move on to the project management assistance in order to implement the strategies on the project. We focus on energy efficiency, low carbon and comfort, and our work can be done with or without a green building certification that you can see underneath. And we play the role of integrator of sustainability expertise on our projects, bringing some acoustic experts such as the LOM or solar experts. We've identified some recent trends in China, which have been promoting the sustainability topic. So first, the country, China, has taken a strong stance with regards to sustainability and carbon. There is the carbon peak, which has been announced in 2030, as well as carbon neutrality in 2060. So new regulations are around the corner, and actors need to basically be proactive and be ready to basically to adapt to these new changes. There are other topics such as rising operational costs or difficulty to attract or retain qualified workers. And we believe that sustainability applied to factories is a way to solve these various issues. So if you break down sustainability applied to a building, whether it is a new construction or an existing facility, you can divide it into a few categories, such as energy efficiency and low carbon, water efficiency, health and comfort, renewable energy, and smart monitoring. And we try to build all these strategies around three pillars, which are people, process, and product. So now a quick focus on existing facilities. So I'm going to explain you a project case that we still are working on, and we've completed the first phase. Maxime here was mostly involved. So it's basically the optimization of a factory in eastern China, in Changzhou. It's a 6,000 square meter facility, and the company, it's a Canadian company, is basically in the process of negotiating the renewal of its lease with the landlord. They've had recently some very ambitious sustainability target at the global level, such as the reduction of carbon emission by 50%, as well as the increase of renewable in their energy mix. So basically, the problematic was to understand whether they could reach these targets by staying in their existing facility. So our approach was to conduct an energy audit to basically understand the situation with regards to their consumption. They had no sub-metering whatsoever, and they just had the overall consumption of the asset. So the first step was to thoroughly study the process consumption and basically build a model of consumption based on their production information in order to calibrate an energy and thermal model. Thanks to this model, we identified the causes for thermal gain. Basically, this company has very high standard in terms of comfort for its employees, and they were consuming a lot of energy in summer to cool down the facility. And they thought that the thermal gains were linked to their equipment. Doing heat treatment, they have a lot of ovens. And thanks to their energy and thermal model, we identified that the thermal gains were coming from the roof through basically a solar energy. So we advise them on a few strategies. Those are just examples, such as work on the roof, cooling towers, solar PV, or some energy efficiency strategies such as heat recovery. And they're in the process now of implementing these strategies. Now a quick focus on carbon. You might already have some targets with regards to carbon emission. So the first thing is to understand that the emissions are split in three different scopes. Scope 1 are the direct emissions, basically the emissions coming from your vehicles and facilities. Scope 2 are the indirect emissions related to energy, such as electricity. And the third scope covers all the other indirect emissions, such as the emissions related to the upstream and downstream transportation of goods or the employee commuting. This is let's say, standard approach if you want to reduce your carbon footprint. And Raymond will introduce you in a few minutes, like a very practical case. But basically, the idea is to first identify some target. Then you need to define a clear perimeter. That is to say, do you want to focus on an asset level or a country level, for example? Do you want to cover scope 1 and 2 or as well the scope 3? Once you decide on a perimeter, then you move on to the calculation phase, where you basically identify the emissions for all the carbon equivalent for all your emissions. And once you have a clear understanding of the footprint, you can move on to the definition of the action plan to reduce your emissions. And lastly, you can implement the relevant strategies for your business. A quick focus on basically a very typical offsetting strategy in China. It's solar PV that we see a lot on industrial projects. There are two main schemes in China: EPC, engineering, procurement, construction, where the client invests himself in the solar PV power plant on his roof, and the PPA, power purchase agreement, where the client can invite a third party to invest for him, and basically the PPA company will sell the energy at a discount compared to the grid cost. Now, Maxime, my colleague, will talk more about new construction.
So, hi everyone. I will present a case study we have done in Kunshan. So this factory, so the client come to us and say, okay, I have an issue. My design institute gave me some energy consumption figures for my factory, and I really don't want to provide HVAC, air conditioning, in my factory because it will be too expensive. So he asked us to do energy modeling, design review to understand why it's so huge. What we found, firstly, it's the design institute doesn't understand correctly all the usage and process. So it took some process like plastic injection, but it was just a manual assembly. So thermal gains was very huge in their design, and so all the air conditioning system was oversizing. And so when we did energy modeling, when we improved all the system, what we saw is finally the system can be downsized by maybe 25%. And this system, when we downsize the system, it's 25% direct of cost savings. And also during the operation, it's savings. So it's what we did, it was just to give the good hypothesis to the design institute and do our energy modeling to show it was possible to have air conditioning on this factory, and it was easy to improve the energy consumption. So, and on this project, at the end, because there was also an office part, they asked us to see is the canteen is comfortable or not. Because finally, what they did in concept design, it was just to draw a canteen with 100% glaze on the roof and on the wall. But this, when we did simulation, we saw it's just not possible to have a comfortable space. The thermal comfort of this space, just to give you an idea, if you go inside during summer, it's 35 degrees of feeling temperature. So during detail design, they did nothing. And it's why at the end of detail design, we come to support them to say, okay, what you can do for this canteen before the end of construction, you have three choices. The first one is to put blinds. And what we show to them, okay, blind, it's possible, but for the maintenance and for the thermal comfort, it will be not enough good. The second choice was expensive. It's just to have some windows, but changing colors. But this one, too expensive, they don't accept. So the last choice, we decided together with Delhomme Acoustic and French House, it was to change the roof to add more thermal comfort, block the sun rays, and finally get the thermal comfort and also the acoustic. And so now this solution has been put in place and the canteen will be comfortable. About a low carbon approach in a factory. So you have two topics. The first one is embodied carbon, and the second one is operational carbon. So during operation, the energy consumption produced by your building. For the embodied carbon, first one, it's a material. When you build a building, you will create a lot of carbon because you have some material created. So the idea is to find the materials which won't create so many carbon inside the atmosphere. So for example, prefabricated concrete, lightweight concrete, or recycled metals. Each time in factory, it will be the two main factor of emission, and you can reduce it very easily. But just you need to suggest this solution. The second one is related to transportation and sourcing, so all the supply chain, if you have local supplier or not. The third one, it's about energy use during the construction. So maybe some example is just try to have good equipment on site when you are building your factory. And the fourth one, it's about the waste generated at scene. You can reuse some packaging, some you can give to your supplier what all their packaging. Also, you can reuse the earth you have excavated. So it's many different solutions. And each time we use one-click LCA to put all this data in this software, which is can be localized, China, Vietnam, anywhere. And you can determine the full life cycle of your building. And for the operational carbon, so it's when you know your consumption, maybe thanks to an energy modeling with Design Builder, you can try to optimize and reduce energy consumption. And when you have reduced your energy consumption and so the carbon, you can start to think about offsetting with some renewable energy or even by buying some green credits. If you are asking to you how to start your project, so basically the first step, it's more linked to the feasibility study or an audit energetic. So based on my current design, based on my current project, what can I do? So that's the first step. So thanks to the first step, you can get some sustainable design brief, some clear guidelines, and you can move forward. So what we do generally is some design review to and create a sustainability roadmap. That's very important for you at the beginning. It's feasibility, gap analysis, audit energetic to have sustainability roadmap. Based on this, you can start your sustainable factory. Thank you, everyone. If you have some question, now you can ask, or if you want, during the panel.
You can take one or two questions at this stage if you want. Yeah, sure.
The main issues in a decoration or building project is to deal with the LDI. How did you do the deal with LDIs?
I will take the concrete.
These are tricky questions, sorry.
But local design institute. And we face many challenges. What we like to do is quality projects. So each time when we do some MEP commissioning, we are trying to push the design institute. For example, on the case study I mentioned, what we did is at the beginning, design review. Okay, we have an issue. Give me all the technical calculation you did. And we move forward in this calculation. And okay, you have an issue. Give me the screenshot of your software. And we saw, okay, you consider plastic injection and not this. So you have just to change hypothesis. So many times it's when we talk about MEP, so all air conditioning system, we look at hypothesis. That's the main problem at the beginning. It's not their calculation, it's their hypothesis. And after when we have sometimes what's happened, it's also more design architectural issue. Maybe during the panel, you can, Franchise can answer, because that's a big topic. You can create a beautiful facade, very optimized in concept design, but the design institute won't follow it exactly. And this one, maybe Romain can answer after, because me, I answer for MEP, but for architecture, it's also another topic and it's very challenging also.
say that indeed yes. Okay. So we are Airlab. We are the client, the second client presented by Terao, and I can say that indeed they did very in detail to challenge the LDI, and to also we help them, but they were very instrumental to challenge them to get all the hypotheses to achieve the gains. And as Maxime mentioned, I think the key difference is that the LDI doesn't try to understand the processes, the people, while Terao took the time to understand this, and so to challenge the hypothesis of the LDI. So it's possible. Yes, it's possible.
Just in time.
And you just mentioned that some construction material is sustainable, good for environment, such good quality. Some construction materials that are imported from, foreign countries or made local China, and the brand is fixed. Foreign brand, or you never use China local product?
From my point of view,
Yes.
I don't recommend at all foreign brand, even they have some what we can say green label on it. Why? Because import a product coming from USA just for a green label will be less sustainable than have a local product because of transportation.
Yes.
But in China, it's starting slowly to have some product. But what you have to do at the beginning for sustainable materials, it's use natural materials like wood, or use some recycled materials. That's my recommendation. And after you have some local code about from else inside, for example, inside the paints, inside the carpets, you can find some paints with a green label for the COV. The emission of COV, it's the COV. So I don't know if you know all, but it's about pollutants inside the air. Exactly. So you can find in some products for the fit out, but I don't recommend foreign brand or foreign brand inside China with factory inside China. It's possible, but you won't have some green label on this.
Yeah, question, especially about these labels. How do you do? Okay. What organism can be kind of referee to say that this material is better than this one? How can you trust what's the label saying?
So for labels, it's independent organization. So you have some American one, some Finnish one, some French one. You have a lot, even for the Chinese one. But the most well-known, for example, if we talk about sustainable product, we have, for example, Cradle to Cradle. Cradle to Cradle, it's very well-known inside the world. So you can be sure it's independent organization. So if you found a product with this certification, you can be sure it's sustainable. So you have Cradle to Cradle, Wind Guard, you have many labels. Or for example, maybe you know FSA product for the wood, legal wood. This one is start to be the most well-known. You can trust on it.
You need to ask your contractor first to provide these different certificates, but then you need to have a third party to review that these certificates are real.
Yeah, that's exactly my question. We have a big CSR program inside our group. We are producing information, and the customers are challenging us. They say, okay, your story, your study, and your carbon impact calculation, where is it from?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different standards.
Sure.
And there are other suppliers telling them pretty much the same story with differences.
Yeah, sure.
So that's why we need kind of referee.
So the TIC players, so the testing, inspection, certification players, such as BV, Bureau Veritas, SGS, Intertech. So they have this role of doing product certification, but they also have so-called second-party type of services that they provide to the end users to look into the certificates that are provided by the contractors. Yes, yes, they have second-party services. They can help.
Okay, maybe we'll switch.
Should move to the next presentation. So let's switch with Nicolas from Aremo.
Okay, it's okay. Okay. Donc Nicolas Perret from Aremon China will just introduce you Aremon low carbon footprint strategy. Just to tell you, Aremon is family company since 150 years. Is the fifth generation, and Aremon in China is in China since 25 years. We have 5 companies, and I am the managing director of one of the company. I will first introduce what is the spirit of Aremon, and is it still family company, and with the DNA is human center, and because human center, Aremon care deeply about people, planet, and our collective future. And for this, we are working to establish a CSR policies that focus on 5 pillars: our behavior, people, society, planet, and value creation, value chain. Planet is today the topic of our meeting. And just to tell you about the commitment, since 2003, Aremon is a supportive member of Global Compact, and will renew this year our commitment. And Antoine Raymond, the CEO of the group, is part of the 30 pioneer leader that will participate to the convention of business convention for the climate that will start in France. Okay, just this is our 5 pillars for the CSR, and about the planet means is our objective, our goal is to minimize environmental impact. Our aspiration is to contribute to the preservation of our planet environment. Our approach minimize or achieve net zero impact, and our priorities is climate change mitigation. And okay, today we'll focus on the first part, that is what is the industry impact on the climate. And carbon means is our first focus, and will contribute to the industry low carbon transition to achieve the goal of Paris Agreement. And just to tell you, in our we have 5 topics in planet is carbon, energy means is linked to carbon, water, and material and waste. I will just talk about two points for the environment about carbon. Means we decide to adopt the net zero approach to carbon, and for this, in fact, is Gaspard already introduced how to do, but his first step is where we are, means to measure the global carbon, and second step is the baseline, and the plan is the reduction target. Energy, we can say two topics for energy. We can say 2 approach. One is switch from energy purchase to renewable energy, means reduce the energy we purchase. And the second one is reduce the energy consumption. And at the group level, we call it the carbon project, is at the end, you can say, is the right data to the right person at the right moment, and is to focus on the energy efficiency in operation by monitoring and optimizing energy consumption of equipment and changing the behavior of the employee. Donc this, it was the first part. It was about, we can say, RMO global strategy. Now, what has been done in China? Since 2013, all our buildings are LEED Gold. Means we have today we have 3 buildings, and we start the fourth one. All until now are LEED Gold, and just here is to give you some example of what has been done. The last one is for the office. We put solar panel to provide the electricity for the office. We reuse the rainwater, green roof, solar tube to bring natural light. Here, two purposes. First one is, of course, energy reduction, but also is to bring natural light in the workshop where you have no external window. Is for the comfort of the people. And of course, we have insulation and okay, just here it was can say some example. We also promote carbon emission reduction. We install a charging station, means we promote that people with electric vehicle will provide the energy. And we also promote the pooling car, means we promote that people come, they share the car to come to work. And for this, we give them a parking lot, means with some protection and a good location, means they don't have to cross all the company to go to the office. Means we just provide some advantage for these people. And you can say, okay, one small step forward, one big step for civilization. You can see a lot of space place in China. And now, okay, this is what we can say what we already done. Now, if we come back to our CSR pillar about planet, about carbon, is carbon footprint, where are we? And after, when we could be neutral carbon and build the roadmap to achieve this target. And the other projects that are linked to efficiency energy, means energy optimization, means carbon, building monitoring system, photovoltaic, and green coating line. Means we have a new project, we have a coating line that will be low consumption. For carbon China footprint, means we work with CRO. Today we are in the, we can say we have three phases. The first phase is carbon footprint measurement. Means today we are in this step, and is planned before the summer to have the carbon emission from scope 1 to scope 3, and in parallel to start the low carbon strategy, means when we could achieve this carbon neutrality, 2030, 2040, 2050. Okay, this, it will be one of the targets, is when we can achieve this carbon neutrality, and to build the roadmap, and after to implement. And after, okay, just the last phase is low carbon strategy deployment according to the roadmap we built. Donc, the second one is our carbon project is energy optimization, is monitoring. It's right data to the right person at the right moment. And for this, we can say we have two focus. One about building, means implement monitoring system to optimize the energy consumption of the building. And here, two things. one by automation, by sensor, and something will be automatic, means adjusted. And the other one by providing the information to the people that they, by themselves they can take the right action, the right decision, and we'll come back to the right data at the right people at the right moment. And the second one is equipment monitoring system. And at the moment, we did it in one plant in the world. Is an Indian plant, is a pilot plant, and is not complete and is step by step. But they already did for some utilities and for the injection machine, and the operator, they get the information and they can optimize, and they even had some challenge in the different teams which team have the best energy save during the week. And this project means now, as a pilot, the Indian plant finish the first phase, China will follow. Sorry for the 10 minutes. Almost finished. Green energy, the other way is also to reduce to the purchase energy. And it's why we'll already install some, but now we'll install more photovoltaic on all the roof where the structure can allow this. And according this, here, just to show you, it was last year our electric consumption, and in blue it will be the electricity we'll get from the solar panel we'll install. Means it's not cover all, but we can say is a significant step. And just to finish and to answer, we can say the question of this evening: how to reduce factory impact on the environment. It starts by 3 points: is knowing where you are, and this we have to do the carbon footprint, establish the long-term strategy, and at the end is involving the entire organization. It's not the top management, it's not a few people, it must be everybody if you want to achieve it. It's obvious, but it's key, is a key base. And thank you, and no question, if there's any question.
Just one quick question. How is managed your solar panel energy? Is it third party or you use directly?
We use directly.
And what about your plastic material? You're an injection
Yes.
facility, right?
Yes.
So what about material? Recycling, treatment?
Using? Recycling, and we are working on some new material, means greener material. Means it cannot be for all product, but for some new product, we're working on this kind of material.
But you also recycle. Of course, you're working on material that you are using at your factory, but what about collecting and recycling? You have recycling
Yes.
facility also in
For our material, means we recycle, we can say in closed cycle, and some of the activity, because we have several activities, some of the activity we use from, we can say, rebranded material, means we recycle material from outside.
Do you sell material?
No, we don't sell.
Yes, I would like to know, is this strategy aligned also with, you would say, your sales KPI to say, because I'm greener, you can use as an argument for your customer, I will say, your whole supply chain will become greener if you purchase my product. Are you trying to align this kind of investment with generating more sales revenue and attracting more customers that are actually seeking to also have an impact?
Yes, yeah. In fact, we can say it is in this axis, in this pillar, but our value chain, and is clearly a sales argument, and it's already asked by some customer, and some customer ask us.
Yeah, acoustic. Thank you.
So hello everyone, my name is Antoine and I work for Delhomme Acoustics. So today we are going to talk about industrial noise and how to control environmental noise coming from factories. So Delhomme Acoustic is a French acoustic consultancy company. It was founded in 1995 by Jean-Philippe Delhomme. We have offices in France, so Toulouse and Paris, and offices in Asia, Shanghai and Ho Chi Minh. The company is mainly composed of acoustic engineers, and we have already confirmed like 8,000 projects around the world. We have our own R&D department, which allows us also to develop our own tools. So our field of expertise is very wide. We worked for architectural and interior design projects, so for buildings projects. We also have a lot of projects in the industry, so controlling the noise for factories and workshops, and also environmental projects regarding like town planning and urbanism project, but also wind farms. So this is a wide panel of our clients we used to work with. So about noise pollution in the industry. In fact, we can, split two main noise issues. I would say we have the environmental noise issues. So regarding the noise induced by the activity of the factory. But we have also the noise induced within the workshops. So with all the technical installation of production that can induce noise for your employees. So the Chinese regulation is really complete. For example, for the environmental noise impact, it defined a clear target for the noise induced by the activity of various type of buildings. So for example, for hospitals or residentials, we have a different target regarding the day and night exposure. For industrial areas, also at the boundary limits, for example, of the factory, we need to comply with a certain amount of noise during day and night. And if you are in an area with a lot of traffic, the target is different. So regarding each project, you will have to comply with a specific target at the boundary limit of your project. Regarding the noise in workshops, there is a regulation regarding the exposure of your employees due to the activity of the technical installation. So in fact, the employee, we need to comply with an exposure of 85 dB under 8 hours of exposure. So this is something that is related also with, for example, what we have in France. The regulation in France was similar to the one we have in China in 2006. Now, in fact, in Europe, we have to comply with 80 dB under 8 hours for the noise exposure. So the GB codes define a clear also target and some guidance regarding the control of noise in factories. And regarding the consequences also, there are some, regulation regarding the financial compensation and disability regarding the non-compliance of these targets. So how to prevent noise issues? So our experience shows that usually people, when they face an acoustic issue, a noise issue in their factory, they will look for a product. I'm having a trouble, too much noise at the boundary limit or in my workshops, so I need to apply a treatment. So people, in fact, tend to integrate and pay for acoustic product to solve the noise issue. The approach is not correct because you are not sure about the performance of the product and if it will definitely improve, in fact, the situation. So what we suggest is the smart acoustic approach, paying attention to some how to say specific methodology. And so I will present you this methodology. It starts, in fact, with an audit, an initial study. Usually, when you face an issue, you have to understand where it comes from. So you have to have a better understanding and look for what is the noise source, what is the specific problem in your factory. Then this gives us multiple information and will allow us to start like a calculation and look for different configuration of solutions, so to comply with a budget or to pay attention with the constraint of maintenance. So different approach, different configuration to choose, in fact, the best solution for your project. So the definition of technical solution will allow us to comply with your objectives. And then during the construction phase, we tend to pay attention to the installation, make sure we have selected the right product with the right performance, but also taking care of the installation, make sure that the solution are well implemented. And at the end of the project, in fact, run an acoustic test and to check if we comply with the objective set. So I will give you an example of a case study. So we had worked for a factory in Shanghai who had noise trouble with their activities. So in fact, this client had years of non-compliance with the local regulation. So in fact, they had every year extra taxes and fines due to the non-compliance of this project. And so they were spending every year also money on a useless solution because they were looking for product to improve the situation. So they came to us a few years ago and asked us, in fact, to analyze 3 different supplier solutions. So in fact, they provided to us the specification of treatment they wanted to apply to solve the issue. And our job was to look at each of these solutions and check which one was the best. Before this, we went on site and start with the audit, as I told you. So we checked, in fact, the multiple noise sources that were located in the project. This project is very, very big, very wide. So we had to go through a deep analysis and characterize noise sources, as you can see here, or locate the various how to say, noise sources of this project, technical installation, specific equipment, sound leakage, everything. This helped us, in fact, to build a 3D model. So this is, in fact, the result of an analysis. It integrates, I would say, hundreds of noise sources on the project. And it allows us also to determine a noise map, so to see what is the influence also of all the noise sources from the factory, and check what is the impact at the boundary limit. So with this, we were able to review then the solution from the supplier and check what was the best option. So I will give you a quick explanation. For example, at one point, in fact, we had a review of all the impact of the noise sources at this receiver. So in blue, in fact, was the impact of the noise sources, I would say, at the initial stage. So we had 70 dBA of noise induced at the boundary limit. What the supplier defined was a treatment that was able to satisfy, in fact, 50 dB at the boundary limit. So the conclusion was, in fact, we had over-treated the area. The treatment that was applied was good, but we were treated too much. So maybe the investment was too important for this. Another explanation for another receiver point. So in this area, the supplier provided other solution. So same situation. In blue, we had the current situation, more than 70 dB at the boundary limit. And in fact, when we simulate the integration of acoustic solution for the various noise sources, what we can see is some of the treatment are over-treated and some of them are not sufficient. So in fact, if the target was 65 dBA, we were still above. So in fact, the client was investing on something that will lead to a non-compliance. So in the end, there was no solution provided by any supplier that was able to comply with the compliance with the regulation. So we define a specific solution on various noise sources and also at the boundary limit. So as you can see, a few examples, there was like some enclosures for specific noise sources, some integration of silencer to control the influence of the ventilation noise or the fans, I would say, and some integration also of screens at various heights to make sure that we can comply with the noise regulation. So this was as a reminder, the situation before the implementation of treatment. And this was the simulated solution after the integration of treatment. So we were able to check at the boundary limit if we were in compliance with the Chinese regulation. At the end of the project, so when the client decided to invest on the solutions, we came on site and have run also an audit after integration of solution, and we're able to check on the various receptors the noise induced by the equipment and check if we were in compliance with the target. And so all the points checked were in compliance with the acoustic target. So to sum up, and be very clear, our acoustic study was 100,000 K. The implementation cost was less than 1 million renminbi. And in fact, working with us and paying attention to the right selection of acoustic solution and paying attention to put the sufficient amount of treatment, we were able, in fact, to satisfy the compliance with the regulation with a global envelope of 1 million renminbi. So that means at minimum, we have saved 1 million renminbi for our client instead of investing on a solution of 2 million renminbi that was not sufficient, in fact, for the project. Thank you very much for your attention. Feel free to ask if you have any question.
Next to I don't know, stamping machine or whatever, I'm sure you cannot go below the 65. So everybody has some plugs in. Is that part of the acceptable situation? You have high noise and protective gears?
Yes, you're right. In fact, so the regulation, as I told you, it's not referring to just an instant, like when a worker is doing some stamping activity, for example. It's related, in fact, with the amount of exposure. So if he's exposed like under 8 hours to high levels, this is an issue. But as you said, when we checked, in fact, the compliance with this for the employee noise exposure, we checked, in fact, the various type of activity also the employee will conduct during the whole day. So at some point, he might be exposed to a high noise level, but on another hand, maybe the rest of the day, he is just working in the office and not exposed to high noise level. So we need to understand what are the main noise sources he's exposed to, and then address also solution. As you say, there are some noise sources where it's very difficult, in fact, to control and reduce the noise impact. So when you are directly exposed to high noise level, the ear protection are mandatory. So that is why also most of the factories ask their employee to integrate these. But in fact, in a workshop, also you have various noise sources. And there is an aspect that is not usually taken care of, is the noise propagation. In fact, you can be exposed to a high noise because you are close to the noise sources, but someone else working on I don't know, something else like on a table or whatever, can be exposed to the high noise sources at a few meters or maybe far away from this, because the noise propagation is not controlled. And this is how the noise issue for the employees start to be a problem, because in fact those people are not how to say they don't ask, I would say, to be exposed to this. So if you pay attention to control the noise for the entire workshop, for example, you can minimize the impact for more employees.
Just a quick reminder for the people following us online, don't hesitate to share your questions directly on the chat, and we will answer them on site as well. Thank you.
Attends, je peux passer.
Any other question here?
Do you have an idea of typically what is the amount of the fines? Because you said that the customer would save 1 million, but this is without counting for the fine that they will have to pay.
No, I don't have. If Jean-Philippe was there, he would be able to reply, but I don't remember. But I can tell it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. I don't know if we are talking about millions of renminbi or, but I know it's a lot. And also the issue for this client is, in fact, for years they were having this issue. So in fact, even if it's just a few, like you accumulate a lot, and even you continue to invest on solutions. So hoping that you will solve the issue, but in the end you still do not solve this. So.
All right, so let's move on. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll try to be very efficient today. Last time I got complaints from the moderator. So I only have 10 minutes. So I'll take, so I have my notes and I have my stopwatch here. Here we are. So I'm Bruno, and many of you know me. It's my turn to look at sustainability from another angle, that of maintenance, which is less exciting. That's why the ugly duckling. But I'm glad that some of the previous speakers indirectly mentioned maintenance and the customer. The LUMS customer we just saw is one of my old customers for many years. So happy to see this picture. So maintenance is not a very sexy topic. You all came here because of sustainability, green and so on. It's maintenance is a lot of headaches and problems, is associated with problems in the mind of most people in the industry. It's often about keeping costs low. Dealing with those of you working in factories, dealing with HR issues, skills of the people, and many companies face the same maintenance problem today as they were facing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago in China. And I know this because we've been around here for a long time. So not that much progress. So people tend to have a negative picture of this. But not much improvement over the past 10, 20 years. But production has become more and more automated, and you have very stringent regulations when it comes to safety, environmental compliance that, of course, put pressure on how you maintain your equipment. So I'll be talking about this. I won't go through this. I've been in my company in this business in China for a long time. The company has about 16 years history in China. I've been here for over 20 and 25 years in Asia. It's been a long time. We basically combine maintenance consulting, maintenance expertise, and we offer consulting services and technology, digital technology, and we use both of these tools to help customers improve their maintenance. I will come back a little bit to this. So what do we do? And I present this so that you so that you understand a bit the next step, and I'll be showing you case studies. The typical project that we conduct starts with a type of audit, and you're familiar with this from the previous presentations. The principles are the same. You need to see where you are, you need to benchmark, and then we start an improvement project. And the typical 5 steps are shown here in compliance with a standard called ISO 55000, which is the asset management standard. It's not called maintenance because maintenance is not sexy. Nobody wants to deal with maintenance. So there's a standard, they called it asset management. What is it about? It's about maintenance. So we take customers through steps in an initial project, and we rely on technology to structure this, to train people, to motivate people instead of just doing consulting and blah, 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 and training. So technology is a structuring tool for us. And then later on, a measurement tool, a monitoring tool. And again, you heard this kind of story before that you need to measure in order to improve. And then once the initial project is done, we have ongoing support contract where we help clients manage their improvement plan over the years. So the client you saw before in pictures, the Delhomme client, has been working with us ever since the plant was built 16 years ago. Was one of our first clients. This approach works quite well. So this combination of technology and consulting has worked quite well for us and our clients. Just benefits from our customer survey, and I won't go through this in detail. You can get a copy of the slides if you want. So back to maintenance, not a sexy topic. What's sexy is sustainability, the China dream, stricter regulations when it comes to environmental compliance. The noise regulation was one example. Companies getting fined, people getting thrown into jail, companies closed. It's real. It has become real, and many companies know it, and that has created actually growing awareness on maintenance. In fact, most of the incidents, accidents that happened in China in the industry, there's many famous accidents we've heard, big headlines over the years. Most of them are related to technical mismanagement or technical mistakes, either at the very technical level, the worker doing the wrong thing because he didn't fully understand, or a management mistake. But again, technical related. And I don't quote surveys here, I don't quote government reports, but actually, if you look into the topic, you will see that the government says technical management is at the core of the topic of sustainability, environmental compliance, safety related compliance. So especially state-owned enterprises and companies that got fined or something, I've become aware of this. For us, it has been. That was a survey a few years ago, but already the awareness was quite high compared to a few years before that. We do regular surveys of the market. This was 2017. Basically, everybody is aware that maintenance is a topic related to risk management and sustainability. We had the previous survey was 2015, so 2-3 years before. We were below 50%. Nobody wanted to hear about maintenance, less than half of the people. So very strong awareness of this topic, which is good for us. I have case studies to try to show the link with sustainability and illustrate with customer cases, and I picked some of our multinational clients along three different angles. This one is sustainability in terms of the plant life cycle, extending the life of your equipment. Okay, that's a type of approach to sustainability. You know, typical complex equipment lifetime, design lifetime, maybe 15, 20 years. And in many cases in China, the actual lifetime is much shorter. So, and if you can extend it, at least fulfill the design intended lifetime, this will be very good. I won't go through all the details. This is a typical life cycle curve where you have problems at the beginning, commissioning stage. Hopefully you fixed most of the problems, then you go on with the normal life of the plant, and then you end up an end of life, a pattern with more and more problems. Hopefully, 15, 20 years later. What's happening quite often is those initial problems, which are design, installation related, construction related, are not fixed, are not being fully fixed during commissioning. They are still there, so you have more problems than what it should be, and you enter an end of life situation much earlier. And this is one example. A Swedish company called SCA Packaging. They make cardboard boxes and EPS boxes for packaging. I won't describe their business too much, but they contacted us with a problem that their plants, many of their plants and key equipment was entering a kind of end of life pattern with more and more problems, out of control problems, and they didn't know why. Because it was not supposed, it was too early. So they were in discussion to be acquired by another company, and they got acquired in the end by a US company, International Paper. So they had this problem of fast aging equipment. That's what I was describing. They had 15 plants, and the CEO noticed that as part of the acquisition talk, they told people to cut the cost, to look better for the acquisition, and they had only spent 50% of their maintenance budget, in particular capex for spare parts and replacement of equipment. And we were coming to, I think it was towards the end of a year. So he was worried. He said, maybe we are underspending and we are putting our company at risk. So the CEO contacted us. We did an audit. We found what was happening. They were delaying critical preventive maintenance just to save cost, because they both said to save cost, but they were making the wrong decisions. They had a quite high downtime, production stops, worth a lot of money. So we found that, but just look at downtime reduction, a reasonable downtime reduction. That's worth a lot of money, and you could pay for an improvement project. So we did a project. We ran a project, and I won't go to describe it. This is what the things I described in the previous slides, across 15 sites. In the end, well, they got acquired by International Paper, and that was a success. That was the end of the project for us, and that was very successful because they maintained. They could show to the company that acquired them that they had controlled the risk, that they had done things, that they were doing maintenance, and that the asset was not at risk, and they achieved their target sales price. And later, International Paper is a much bigger company. They had another IT tools. They had IT tools for maintenance, part of the SAP system. And we had, because we had prepared everything, it facilitated the rollout to SAP, which was another kind of return on this investment. So that was one type. I'll go quickly through the next two. Energy efficiency is a big topic. You can do a lot of things to improve energy efficiency. People think you need to buy better equipment. Okay, but maintenance is a big source of improper maintenance is a big source of inefficiency. I quote the US Department of Energy. I searched a bit on internet, some credible sources here. O&M measures, maintenance measures, cost not too much and can save a lot of energy. What are we talking about? We are talking about regular inspections, proper maintenance, monitoring what you do and the impact in terms of energy. And it's not just monitoring how much energy you spend. It's looking at what people do, what preventive maintenance is done, when is it done. So this is normally not monitored. When everybody's talking about IoT, having sensors everywhere and a beautiful dashboard, but that will not measure what people do. That's the missing part. So by working on this, we can achieve good stuff. An example in Wuhan, Browser is automotive suppliers. They were expanding the facility, and they were because they had a lot of business, and they had noticed a problem with energy cost, with downtime, and overtime of their maintenance staff. So they thought, the boss thought, well, we are going to multiply production by 6 over the next couple of years. How are we going to manage, especially in terms of energy cost? We ran a project, and they're energy-driven project, and actually their CFO calculated that we could get returns on investment on the project in just a year, just by direct energy savings from the actions that they took based on an improvement of the maintenance plan. So that went quite well as well. HSE is the last one I'll mention on more the safety angle. I picked a state-owned enterprise, a water company. We work a lot with water companies and environmental companies. They are directly under the arm of the government, unlike manufacturers. So they're directly controlled by the government. So they normally take strong measures. In Zhongshan, in South China, where we met, actually, we were planning to do a maintenance project. They had a budget for it. And we talked to the chairman, and he said, I don't want to hear about maintenance. I don't want to hear about this. My problem is water quality. That's my only problem. So we looked at this topic, and we designed a project based on how do you ensure the water quality. There's many things that is totally not my business. But in terms of maintenance, in terms of technical management. So we defined this. We defined a project based on achieving water quality and demonstrating to the authorities that they were doing things to ensure water quality. And so we use this they use this a lot to demonstrate to their stakeholders, the municipal government and the top government, that they were doing those things through very visual dashboards, but again, same type of project. So that's the type of things we do, and it all starts with an audit, a type of audit. It could be a small audit when things are quite obvious. It could be a major complex audit. So an audit gives an independent view on the subject. Maintenance is not well, again, it's not a very common topic. Not many experts are available in the market. So that's our value there. But the idea is to define priorities. And again, quite often it's not about maintenance. It's about environmental compliance, safety regulations, water quality, costs, life cycle costs, and so on. But then we define an action plan, and we help, and we recommend an action plan, and the customer, with us or without us, can then fulfill the plan. We have lots of clients. I have over 1,000 clients, mostly China, but also growing business in Southeast Asia. So this was just, I forgot one thing I said. What I didn't say is, if I just go back and talk one more minute, that one. I said we use technology, we use IT systems for monitoring and help execution and structure our projects, and we use maintenance consulting services. When dealing with multinationals, the IT part of our scope gives trouble, because a lot of multinationals will tell us, but at headquarters in Germany, we use SAP, but in France, we use this, or whatever, software. Please talk to my IT department somewhere. It distracts us from the topic of maintenance. So that's why quite often we would start with an audit. So we don't bother people with the software. Once we identify the priorities and an action plan, then maybe software, using our software is part of the plan at that time. That's all for me. So actually the ugly duckling was a beautiful swan. And thank you very much. Thank you. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Where, and actually I was just Googling it. It's called Cogwin. I was wondering what the purpose does the software serve? Is it more like a CRM software?
Well, it serves the same purpose as a CRM for sales, for customer management. But it's the key aspect of of using a software. First is it gets people excited and interested and motivated. And normally the maintenance team normally gets nothing. They don't have software. They don't have anything. Usually the maintenance office has no window and they get nothing. So you give them something, and a mobile software and a nice dashboard, a touch screen, they get excited, they get interested. That's the first one, motivation. It's very important actually. That's one. It helps structure a methodology. I can explain a methodology, I can explain preventive maintenance, why preventive maintenance is important, why we should do like this, why we should do an inventory of assets, why we should prioritize the asset, how we should inventorize. We can do training. People listen, say very good, but then how do we do? How do we do? Having a software helps visualize those practical steps and then make people understand by showing, by on the job, by having a tool, again, to show and structure. And then finally, you're going to have, maintenance is about defining a strategy, and then people are doing the strategy, implementing the strategy, doing maintenance, doing troubleshooting, doing preventive maintenance. So you need to help these people, and by giving them access to the instructions, troubleshooting guide. So we use mobile solutions for this. And then to be able, you want to know what these people have done. Have they done the job? Have they done the inspection? There's a monthly cleaning of the air conditioning, whatever cores on the roof. Did they go up the roof and do the job? Yes, no, I'm not sure. Checklist is yes, but you never know. There was a story that the Lome customer there, I cannot give their name because he didn't give their name, but long time ago, they had a problem with their air conditioning. And I told them, I think your equipment on the roof has never been cleaned. And we went on the roof, and indeed, it was so disgusting. And nobody had ever done the job, but the checklist was always yes. So we use this kind of technology, mobile technology, to also get data back from the field so that we can do analysis. And again, the management can make decisions. So that's the idea, to close the loop, have a feedback loop before what people do and the strategy and then the improvement process. That's the main usage of the software. You mentioned the name of our software. There's the COSWIN is something called Bluebee. Bluebee is quite popular because it's a more interesting name. It's funny that you know COSWIN. COSWIN is also famous. Bluebee, we have this little bee. If some of you have kids in the French school or in the German school, they have tags. Maybe the kids know, at least the parents don't visit, but they have tags on equipment and rooms in the French school, in the German school as well. There's the Bluebee tag. There's a little bee, and there's a QR code. And actually, the kids, anybody can scan and report a problem on an equipment, or that's part of that's Bluebee. Okay.
Thank you. When you implement your software on site, do you propose your own standard maintenance procedures, like for instance for a dosing pump, or do you use the ones already put in place?
No, typically we don't. We will work with the client to look at what's in place, to look at if possibly something is missing, and to help improve based on that. So, but then it depends a bit on the projects. In some industries, we have our own expertise. We work a lot in water and waste industry, for example. The plants, the long case study was a waste treatment plant. In certain industry, we have our own knowledge. We actually involve in defining maintenance plans. But in most manufacturing type of industry, every process is different. We don't really have a specific know-how, so we work with the client team and possibly third-party suppliers to define this. Mostly, we try to get an improvement loop up and running, starting from wherever they are today. Sometimes nothing. Sometimes there's no maintenance plan. It's just corrective maintenance.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So hello everyone. I'm Romain. Today I will talk about the new sustainability trends within office space of the factories. So first of all, I will do a quick introduction about myself and the company. So I grew up in the construction industry. My grandpa opened the company in 1965, and now my dad is running the business in France. My big brother is doing the same business as us, which is architecture, interior design, and project management. The only difference between them and me is they have the GC license, which is complicated for a foreigner in China. So I'm in charge of the business in Asia, Shanghai, and Hong Kong. So our business segment is split in 5 parts: offices, F&B, retail, hospitality, and factories. So today we will mainly talk about the offices in the factories. So this is what we do. So we cover all the parts from the beginning of the construction, so from the due diligence to the final handover. Regarding the interior design, so we do all the concept design until the detailed design, the construction drawing. We follow up on site, so doing the tendering after the design is done, and all the project management, so control the quality, time, and costs. So I would like to start by what is new in the office. What is the main changes today after the COVID and all the last things happens? So for us, there is 3 main changes. The first one is the employee behavior. So not only from the top management, but also from the employee, from all the employee in the company. So from the top to the IE, everyone change, everyone care more about the environment, and everyone is expecting more and more from their company. So this is the first change, very important for us. The second one is the communication. So all the system and the technology has been updated year after year, and this is important because after COVID, everything was very fast and accelerate the process to implement in the design. The third one is the design. So many people understand, a lot of our clients understand it's not only about the beauty, it's also about the operation, about to have a smart office, sustainable office. And it's more than the beauty, it's the image of the company and the durability, everything. So I will show you through some case study, some trend. I picked seven trend we are working with. So the first one is a project of AirLab. So it's a factory in Kunshan. So this factory is with one production building and the offices on the side. So the target from the client was to create a good working environment, to create a multi-use space, attractive not only for the current employee, because they are changing the location, so they have to keep the employee, even if it's from Kunshan, it's maybe far away from the current employee, and attract a new talent for their development. So they are based in Kunshan. It's not Shanghai, it's not Beijing, it's not very big city. So the aim of the client was to have a nice office and attractive to help the HR and the development. Besides this, of course, there is a brand image. They are working in the filter industry, filtration. So it's very important to have a good impression from the visitor, from the supplier, or the client and the employee. So here during the design brief, we defined a ratio of playing room and sleeping room, many public space to create a good environment for everyone. So here, as you can see on the top, is a playing room for all the employee. So open for the employee working in the office, and open also for the company, for the employee working in the workshop. So everyone can access to here. And here we have the big canteen, which is important for them to have all the employee inside the same room, and doesn't make any difference between the worker in the workshop and the manager. This is also giving giving to the employee a space instead of having a rest in the workstation. They have a small room, can be used as well as a cinema room. The second part is environmental friendly product. So today, two people ask about the material. So this is part of our challenge today, to find also new material to avoid any toxic substance, especially in China. The quality of the air is very important for everyone. So we are working on finding a new product. Try to find natural product like this. Is a cork, but it looks like leather. So it's very, first is beautiful, second has a nice technical data regarding the environmental. So this is also part of the question today. It's how we can be sure we are using the sustainable material, and so for that we are checking all the testing reports, the VOC testing reports, the certificate, sample, and everything. So if I take as example Interface is American brand, but they produce their carpet in China. They are taking, if it's a renovation, they take the old carpets, they recycle everything in their factory. They follow the American standards for the quality, and so it's very short air, no bacteria. They have all the testing reports. They have nice showroom in Shanghai. So this is what we try to do, to work mainly as much as possible with local products, with high-end specification. Another important trend is the ecosystem application. So what I call ecosystem is to give some flexibility to the employees. So how we give flexibility is now all the company try to encourage people to share, to collaborate, to have a brainstorming. So the layout is not very traditional as before, it's less classic. Of course, we still have some workstation with individual desk, but we try to combine with different type of furniture. So as you can see here is high table, here is more a sofa collaboration area, semi-enclosed spot, and individual office or phone booth. So with this kind of layout, we have here we define, we call it a task pattern, can be identified. So ideation, collaboration, individual work, and meeting. So we try to combine all of them to satisfy everyone and to give flexibility as much as possible. So this is another case study from another client. This client was the main constraint was the space. So he doesn't want to give too much space to the office, but to keep as much as possible the production area as big as possible, and but he wants to be able to welcome client, to do some events. So everything must be movable and flexible. But of course, with still some acoustic high requirement with de l'homme, and some modern touch like the smart screen. So all the acoustic treatment was incorporated in the design. And movable glass partition, electricity. So this, when they remove the workstation in the middle, you just unplug this and you have a small slot in the floor, and everything is clean. You don't have any electrical sockets on the floor, and some flexibility and new sustainable. I will talk in detail just after. So about the wellness, so previous colleague talked about the reutilization of the water rain, and inside for the interior design, we will care more about the sanitary ware, which equipment we will use, provide water dispenser for all the employees, clean water, energy saving as well. So how we save energy. So this is with a lot of equipment which can be incorporated and designed during the detailed design phase. So motion sensor, daylight sensor. So it's not only about energy saving, but it's also about the efficiency. Like Terao said, sometimes even if you have a very expensive equipment, it doesn't mean it's well calculated. Also the green resources, so as I discussed before, the reutilization of furniture, the recycled product, and the indoor environment. So indoor, it's not only thermal comfort, it's also lighting comfort and the sound. So regarding the wellness practice, so it's linked a little bit with lead and sustainability, but more focus on the wellness of the employee and all the staff. So provide good air quality and provide monitoring as well to show to everyone the air quality inside to feel safe. Sometimes it doesn't need a lot, just a small monitor to see the air quality and everyone is safe and everyone feel better. For the clean water, so all drinking water pumps. So this is a common practice today. Visual lighting. So now we have a smart lighting as well. We can use in the office. Nourishment. So it's provide a food garden for the employee, like we have in our lab as well. We will have a small garden to produce some vegetable for the employee. All the technology, so technology, it's how you say, no, the card reader is a little bit old school today. So there is a facial recognition. We can give you the temperature of the body and many equipment, touchless, yes, for the door, or many different things. For the curtain. So for that, I think we use mainly lead and well, which is a kind of roadmap for us to do the design and also to follow up until the commissioning. So lead and well gave the main criteria to ensure the sustainability is good enough and is high enough to provide a good working environment. So this is a focus on operation and behavior. I think only the design is not working, only the behavior of the people is not working, operation as well. So we have to combine all of them. It's what we do during the design stage. It's a lot of exchange and there is a understanding of the needs from the client. And it's also understands what the client is doing and what we can do to ensure everyone happy. So to conclude, I think the sustainability, mainly for the interior design and for all the previous speaker, we save energy. So if we save energy, we save money, we save the planet, and we make people happier, healthier, and more productive. So everybody will. Thank you. Any question?
Yes. So you are in design, but also you are doing the installation and everything. You have a network of suppliers to.
Alors, we are not a general contractor. We are doing design, tendering, and project management.
So you use supplier to make it happen.
Exactly. Supplier, general contractor, and different parties. Yes.
So you use suppliers, but you also know you have a network of suppliers that you consider, and you know the quality of the work, the products they make, and the safety, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay. At the beginning, it was one of the main challenge we had here, because I was working after the family business. I was working for Bouygues Construction, and we had a pool of supplier, which is you can trust, and they are serious people. Here, when I arrived in China, it was complicated to find the right partner, serious and on time and everything. So this is a part of the challenge we consider at the beginning. So we spend a lot of time to do investigation about the company, to visit many projects they did, and to choose a pool of, but of course, like Air Lab, if the client has some preference for different supplier, we can invite them to the tender and compare the price. Thank you.
So thank you to all our speakers. We will not go forward with the panel discussion because we are a bit late on schedule. The idea today was to bring, let's say, the awareness about sustainability, let's say, higher to all of you, and to show you the diversity of topics and the importance of implementing these sustainability strategies from very early stage. So from first, you need to assess what's your current situation. You need to set up a target. You need to set up an action plan, and you need to monitor sustainability also during your operation. So this sustainability has to be thought as a full life cycle. So I hope that you had some interesting takeover, and I will suggest that we move forward for toward the cocktail area. And if you have any question, just go directly to the speakers. Thank you for coming and staying with us all this time. Thank you.